Hey everyone, welcome to the Naughty Shaman podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Carlisle, and I can't wait to dive in to a world where the sacred meets the wild and keeps things totally real. In each episode, we are going to dive into what it truly means to live a radiant life that is unapologetically real. And if you're ready to get started, so am I. Hello, friends. This is Natalie Carlisle, and I cannot tell you the amount of times in a given year or week or even day that I get asked the question, yeah, your business is cool, but why Naughty Shaman? Why is that the name? And I'll tell you what, I love our name. I'm so proud of our name, and I really can't wait to share the history of how it came to pass. So many, many years ago, when I was studying in Peru with Alberto Villoldo in a couple of different places, I was studying and if you know me, you know this, but I can sometimes run late and I sometimes forget my homework and I run in a very spontaneous way through life. And that leans towards a little bit of disorganization. And so I would sometimes come to class late or get out of my tent late or whatever. And anyway, somebody said to me, one of the teachers would say, "Oh, you're such a naughty shaman," and giggled. And it stuck. And I loved being the naughty shaman. And I loved being the naughty shaman for a couple of reasons. First, they were recognizing that I was a shaman in some level. Even if I was a naughty one, I was still like, hey, that's cool. They think I'm kind of wise at somewhere. And if I'm goofy, well, that's cool. But I'm also a little wise. And I loved that idea of being free to be goofy, to also be wise. There was something powerful when I was first called that really, really stuck with me. So then my friends and I thought, well, hey, that would be a great name for a t-shirt company. Let's make some t-shirts with, naughty spiritual sayings on it, and we were going to be all, I don't know, like spiritual gangster was before spiritual gangster came along. So we never ended up doing that, but man, we drank a lot of coffee and had a lot of fun planning about it. And we did make a couple of t-shirts. Shamama and Shaman were our two best-selling t-shirts. And so we had a lot of fun doing that. But that was just sort of the beginning of what I now understand as a very powerful name for our business. So yes, I was called Naughty Shaman because I'd forget my crystal or my homework and I was always late. The other, perhaps more deep reason for loving this name and why we've grown into it now over the years is that it's a complete breakup with the idea of perfection. Think about it. To be naughty, that's for sure not being perfect. There's like nowhere in you that's about to be perfect with that. So I love this idea of completely breaking up with perfection. I grew up really hustling for love, like Brene Brown talks about, like hustling for love. If there was attention to be had, I wanted to find it. I felt like I was starving for that. And many of us did that are Gen Xers because we grew up with the silent generation as our parents. And the name really says it all. They were just happy to survive, World War II and the Depression, and not a lot bothered them, but they also didn't have a lot to say about it. Our generation, ran around wild until the lights came on. And there was even that commercial of like, hey, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? And I think honestly, a lot of our parents didn't. So the commercial was a good reminder. So our generation did grow up with this idea of like, well, to get attention, you got to find your way. You got to kind of get out there and find what it is that makes you stand out. And for me, what made me stand out and got me attention was being as close to perfect as possible. Being the leader of every single club got me great attention. Developing leaders, speaking in public, all of these things around leadership, being busy 24/7 in service to others so that I wouldn't sleep, forget to do my homework, so that I started to suffer. That was cool back in the day. And so I was like in this really difficult cycle of striving for perfection. And I constantly came up short and then constantly learned to beat myself up about that. that I'd fallen short, that I wasn't perfect, that I made that mistake. There wasn't room in my cosmology at the time for failure, for imperfection, for not being lovable and nice and easy to get along with. And try as I might to be all of those things through all of my people pleasing efforts, I failed even then. And so I was in a lose lose paradigm all of my life, all of my life. Even when I rebelled against this and decided I wasn't going to do anything for anyone anymore, I failed out of college. I ruined my life in many ways. And that didn't work either. So the rebellion against or the falling into perfection just didn't work. And naughty, this idea of the things we judge as bad or a little naughty or ornery, I had shoved them all in a closet. And it wasn't until I did the deep work with my ancestors, the deep work of shamanic journey and working with my guides and understanding my wounds and reclaiming this part of me that I judged as naughty, I realized that naturally I'm a pretty wild, goofy, fun loving person that experiences life in this very sensual way. I mean, wind and sun and the smell of popcorn, forget it. I can't stand how beautiful this life is sometimes because of all the senses that we get to have. And I learned that this was naughty and I shouldn't indulge in these things. And now I let naughty back out of the closet and life is so much more juicy, so much more fun. I'm a better mom, I'm a better lover, I'm a better friend, I'm a better neighbor. I'm better at everything. I'm a better Natalie because that's how I was born. This naughty and this nice is all a part of my original nature. It's a part of all of our original natures. And I believe in examining the parts of us that have been judged harshly. It's in bringing those shadow elements out into the light and falling in love with them again that brings us home to peace inside of our own skin. And we can't do that without breaking up with the idea of perfection. Hmm. So that's another reason why Naughty Shaman is called Naughty Shaman. And, the other reason why I named it Naughty and Shaman was that it felt important for me to make a declaration in the world that, yeah, even a blonde haired goofball from Ohio can possess wisdom and learn and offer and be relevant and have spiritual roots that maybe aren't in the Judeo-Christian mythology that we live within. And I really wanted to reclaim that for me, for my people, for my future family. It was really important to me to reclaim the element of shaman, of the animalistic one that saw the world as totally alive, this ancient tradition that belonged to tribes all over the world. And were in my ancestral tribes way back in the day. I wanted to declare that we are bringing them here now in the name. And then the naughty part of it is the irreverence for hierarchy, for life, for gurus. We have no space for that in our community. There is an irreverence to all those things that people can become blind to, giving their power away. So these two words in combination have a deep meaning of coming in pure with who you are and not worrying about jockeying for position or who sits closest to the guru, because there isn't a guru. And that's the third reason, is this idea that we stand shoulder to shoulder with one another in our community. And that's the irreverence that I love. People tease me, I tease them, I learn from them, they learn from me. We have this great relationship that builds our community to become stronger and better. And that's really important because, so many people are waking up to this, but the idea of a guru is really, to me, dangerous. Because when we give our power away, when we're beginning our spiritual journey, we are so vulnerable. We are hurting. Oftentimes we don't know why. all we know in the beginning of our journey that takes us on, we stumble and drag ourselves onto the spiritual growth path because all we know is that it hurts too much to live the way I was living. I don't know how to live a new way, but I'm willing to do almost anything to not do it the way I've been doing it. And it's in that vulnerability that I've seen many people take advantage of the seeker. I was taken advantage of as a seeker by an indigenous elder. The people that I grew up thinking had all the answers. I projected all this perfection onto them because I was really into perfection onto all people, but especially people who had native blood or indigenous blood. I really thought, wow, they must be completely perfect in all ways. And they're not. None of us are. We are all so very human. And that awakening to that idea was so critical to me. So this idea of a community that was guru-less, that had leaders for sure, and had teachers and had mentors and had all kinds of roles, but was guru-less was really critical to me because I had been in communities where I felt judged, yoga communities where I felt like, wow, I'm not vegan, so I'm a total loser, or wow, I'm not thin, so I'm definitely totally not spiritual. And I was so sick and tired of this idea that if I hadn't read all the right people and looked all the right ways and had the right ass and had the right words, and I couldn't belong. And that didn't make sense to me in terms of a spiritual community. I know growing up, I'd been a part of some amazing churches where they didn't even have those beliefs, where they were so open and loving. And I love that feeling of openness and non-judgment. And so I really wanted Naughty Shaman to be a place where people could learn and explore without judgment for who they are. If you smoke, you smoke. If you don't, you don't. If you're vegan, great. You eat meat, great. Love cheeseburgers, great. 300 pounds, great. 98 pounds, great. Just welcome. Let's explore. Let's explore what it means to be alive. Let's explore what it means to be in relationship with the divine. Christian, great. Jewish, great. Atheist, great. Agnostic, great. Doesn't matter because we're a community committed to exploring wisdom, exploring creation and what is our role in all of it. And so that is why I'm so proud of our name, Naughty Shaman. And I think the last thing that I really want to say with this is that naughty, the word, at its core is about rebelling against the dominant culture. It's about being in contrast to the dominant culture. And so when we look at our dominant culture right now, turn on CNN, turn on Fox News, turn on whatever it is you're watching. The dominant culture right now is pretty much telling us be afraid. The other thing it's telling us is kill people who you don't understand or who you disagree with. The other thing that the dominant culture is saying is that war is a cool way to make a lot of money. The other thing the dominant culture is telling us is be young forever, or at least look young if you're a woman or a man. Keep those six-pack abs or else you'll be irrelevant. The community and dominant culture around us is also saying things like, gosh, have a lot of money, or it's never enough. You'll never be good enough unless you have that car or that person or this thing. So there is a dominant culture around us that's constantly telling us to fight, to jump to conclusions, and to desire more, and to never stop working, being on the hustle. Just saying it makes me feel exhausted. I don't think any of us who are awake, at least, would look at the dominant culture and the way things are going generally and say, yeah, sign me up. That looks great. I want to feel miserable and destroy things and be fearful of everything and everyone all the time. None of us would sign up for that. But it's so in our culture. It's like the water we're swimming in that we're inhaling it. We're breathing it in. And so to become conscious in a conscious community like ours, like many, many others, is to really examine, is that the reality that you want to create for yourself in your daily world, inside your mind, inside your heart, and inside your body? Is that what you want to create? Or do you want to go against the grain a little bit and create something different? Someone asked me the other day, well, aren't you just appalled that so and so and so and so happened in the courtroom? And I thought, no, I'm not. I don't have a feeling about it either way. It's something that's happening and I'm watching it and I'm just, that's it. And that was so anti-culture, in this person's culture, you definitely need to be up in arms and be angry about everything. And what if I don't want to be? What if I don't know if anger in every single situation is useful for me? I would rather spend my energy on creating. I think that we're all playing sacred roles now, and I digress into my next podcast that I'm going to make, but we all have sacred roles here on the planet, which brings me to the final thing that I love about Naughty Shaman is that we hold the world, all of it, every being, two-legged, four-legged, many-legged, winged, feathered, and furred, all beings as sacred. Stones, plants, you, me, Max, the cat, all beings. We hold all situations that are happening around the world. The poverty, the suffering, the heartache, the loneliness, the abundance, the joy, the oceans, the wind, the homelessness, the war, the peace, the harmony, all of it sacred. It's a question of how big can we allow our hearts to be? How big can we allow our God, our divinity, our great spirit to be? Are we all held in it? Or only some of us? I choose all. I choose all. All beings held by the all that is, that has so many names that is unnameable. When you start to view your life and everything in it, everyone in it, everything that happens to you as sacred, something sacred, some sacred happening, some of it's painful, some of it's joyful, some of it's meh, your life changes. Power is restored. Equanimity can be restored. Wisdom is restored. Joy can be restored, even in pain. So that's a bit about Naughty. Lots of deep thoughts from t-shirts all the way down to the purpose of the cosmos and things that you can look out for when you're looking for a spiritual community to hang out with. I've made a lot of mistakes, and so this is coming from this history and stories that I've heard from many, many, many people around the world. If you hear a spiritual community hating on other people, that's a red flag. If you hear a spiritual community with a lot of musts and must nots in order to feel a sense of belonging, that's a red flag. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it should make your eyebrow go up so that you can dig further. If there's a guru or a set of gurus and they have all of the answers and you have to go to them to get them and they won't give them to you, that's a red flag. That makes my eyebrow go. Think about that. We have wisdom. It's our innate privilege to be born with wisdom in our bones, and it's a matter of remembering how to access that. Great teachers will help us do that. Gurus hoard all the information from us until we have to beg, borrow, and steal and earn a right to get it. Those days are done. Those days are done. Wisdom's right here. If you listen to the wind carefully enough, even the wind will teach you something. So the last thing is negative gossip. If negative gossip is prevalent, if members are talking about other members negatively and it's everywhere, that would give me pause too, because there's an element of disrespect or something going on there in any of these situations. So these are my tips for you and a little bit about Naughty, a little bit about where we came from. And, I just kind of want to share too our values because they are so important to me and some of my favorite. We value curiosity over judgment. We love personal growth, like we're junkies about it. Hello. So we want to learn, keep growing and growing and growing. We value humor because, wow, can we take ourselves so seriously? We take the work seriously, but not ourselves. So we joke and laugh on ourselves quite a lot. We value compassion because we totally get what it's about to suffer. We know what that's like. We've suffered. We've been in pain. We know. So we have compassion for a lot of it. A lot of it. And I would say all of it. Sacredness, all beings, wildness. We love permission for all of us to be natural and realness. We want to be real, messy humans because that's where we are. That's where all the juicy bits are. I mean, in our humanness is where we get to do stuff and make things. We get to make plans and make cookies and make love and like all the good things happen in our human experience. And so be human, be messy, figure it out, try again, be messy. Let's all commit to imperfection. I think that's a delightful way to go. So this is Natalie Carlisle signing off for now from the Naughty Shaman podcast. And thank you for diving in to what Naughty Shaman is really about and how the name for us is so powerful. All right. Thank you so much for signing in. This is Natalie signing off. Ciao. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we are so grateful. Please reach out to us. Let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in our future episodes. Get in touch in the comments because we love to hear from you. And you can reach us on social media.